"Edward Philip Levine, get down here!" came a thunderous voice from the bottom of the stairs. When my mother used my middle name, I knew I was in trouble. I peeked out of my bedroom over the garage, just far enough for her to know that I'd heard her. "Was it really necessary to take a bite of every chocolate in the box?" she asked. Boxes of Barton's chocolate had no legend to show what was in each piece. How could I, in good conscience, tell my friends which chocolate to eat if I didn't taste every one? The dark chocolate-covered butter crunch was the clear winner, by the way. I was about to mouth a weak apology when the next thunderclap came. I can't believe that there are children starving all over the world, and my son takes a bite out of every chocolate in the box and then puts them back. My passion for chocolate had been met by my mother's passion for saving the world. At my house growing up in the 1960s, the food took a back seat at the dinner table. The pork chops were dry, the pasta was badly overcooked, and the conversation was definitely overheated. With 6 of us, the only way to claim the floor at dinner was to scream. Partly because our modest split-level suburban home in Cedarhurst, New York, was directly under the flight path for Idlewild Airport, now JFK, but also because I came from a long line of dreamers who articulated their progressive do-gooder thoughts with a ferocity and focus that was often frightening to non-believers. As red diaper babies, baby boomer children of card-carrying communists, the 4 Levine boys, my brothers Michael, Jess, and Gil, and I, learned early to articulate our views fervently in support of the greater good. We weren't just encouraged to get on a soapbox about things we felt strongly about. We were required. My mother was a gregarious, charismatic firebrand of a woman. She grew up in abject poverty in the Lower East Side of Manhattan. Her father had flown the coop. He was a painter of houses and a chaser of women. And her mother sold pickles out of a barrel on a street corner in Williamsburg year-round. That left my mother and her younger brother to raise each other. That brother, my Uncle Abe, dropped out of school in the 7th grade and hustled pool to support the family. After she and my dad moved to Long Island's South Shore after World War II, my mother became a suburban community activist and organizer, and then a child psychologist who believed in progressive child-rearing techniques. She wrote a column about the issues near and dear to her heart for the local paper, the South Shore Record. When I went to their offices about 20 years ago to dig those columns up, I found headlines like, "Let's do something about mass violence," from 1960, and one column titled Women in Culture, in which my mother wrote that women needed to find satisfying, meaningful work after their children had grown, a full 2 years before Betty Friedan made a similar argument in The Feminine Mystique. Like many poor Jews in New York in the 1930s, my parents became avowed communists while attending City College. Family lore has it that they met at a Communist Party meeting on campus. My soft-spoken dad also grew up dirt poor in Brooklyn. His dad, my grandfather, died when he was an infant. His mother, Ida, was a doting grandmother to us, but had been a lousy mother to him. Whenever she would take a lover, she'd place my father in foster care or an orphanage until the affair had run its course. My dad hated oatmeal his whole life because it reminded him of the orphanage food. I have a photo of my dad addressing a rally of unemployed workers in Union Square in New York City in the 30s. He spent the war years organizing African-American workers at weapons factories in St. Louis. Unable to find a teaching job after the war because of his political leanings, he eventually went to work in the lumberyard business for his brother-in-law, my Uncle Abe, the aforementioned pool hustler. He wore monogrammed shirts and drove the big cars that the company leased for him. As adults, my 3 older brothers would describe my dad as a depressed and frustrated intellectual, living his life in suburban purgatory. As the youngest, though, I remember him as the old dad, with a smile on his face and a twinkle in his eye. And though he may have made his peace with working for someone else in a job he didn't like, all 4 of his sons got the message early on that working for other people doing unsatisfying work was no way to roll in life.